Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is another recording on today's date, which is March 30th, 2024. I'm with Michael in Germany, and I'm here in Minnesota in the United States, and we are here to bring you another session that Michael has labored a long time to put together this script. And I think today, Michael, I am all ears because, it always is surprising the topics that you choose. So I'm really ready and waiting to jump in with you into this messy topic of the world as we know it today. Welcome, Michael.
Welcome, Brett. Hello, dear listeners.
We're talking with
Lindsay Shanks.
Lindsay, and you're a high school student as well.
Yes, sir.
What is the world's tallest mountain?
It's not Mount Rushmore.
No. Do you ever rest?
Do I what?
Ever rest?
No.
I'm giving you the story.
Oh. I really don't know.
See, I asked you, do you ever rest? And you said,
Oh,
no.
Mount Everest.
Everest, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
It's the Mount Everest in Asia, which has been seen as the tallest mountain, but only if you look it up from the surface of the Earth or at sea level. And there's also some interesting thing that usually has not been remarked. Let's look it up. It's the etymology of it. Mount Everest is the Earth's highest mountain. So what's the truth now? Above sea level. Ah, I get it. Now it's the highest mountain above sea level, but it's not the highest mountains after all, because there is Chimborazo, which blah, blah, blah. Located in the Himalayas, the China-Nepal border runs across its summit point. Its elevation is 29,000 feet, so 29,000 compared to Chimborazo, 20,000, so that was a difference. I apologize myself for being too stupid to calculate, of 9,000 feet or 8,500 feet, which was most recently established in 2020 by the Chinese and Nepali authorities. So you have to believe them, right? You can't prove it. Everest is a mountain named 1865 for Sir George Everest, but the Tibetan name of that Everest is Chomo Langma and means the mother goddess of the world. And that's the thing which you don't usually been told in the mass media. So they see the Everest as the mother goddess of the world. Aha. Interesting. Some things. In the early 1960s, the Nepali government coined the Nepali name Sagarmatha or Sagarmatha, which means the goddess of the sky, which means the head in the great blue sky, being derived from sky and head. So it gets even better. So that must be a place of worship then, because it's just the goddess of the sky, the Everest. Don't fall for the English name according to the official discoverer, our mountaineer. You have to look up the original name, original etymology, meaning. So, what your naked eye is telling you is that the Everest most likely is the tallest mountain, but only from sea level, based on sea level. So it's always good to have a good foundation. If you don't have any foundation, you have to believe them that Chimborazo is the tallest mountain, because you can't see the rest because of the equatorial bulge. It is that he's the tallest one. You see that all the problems now occurring because you have to believe their global model with flat poles and a bulge at the equator. So that creates many problems that you have to believe them, you cannot prove it, and your eye, they tell you that your God-given senses will betray you. You have to believe their science. And then we come to the next problem. This is not here a side of humor or comedy. This is what they tell you about the deepest place in the ocean. And if the Mount Everest being seen as the tallest one and being seen as the mother goddess or the goddess of the sky, then be very surprised to learn what's the name of the biggest trench in the entire world on their globe model is been called. It's called the Mariana Trench. So, Maria is in it. The deepest oceanic trench on Earth, 36,000 feet. At the southern end of a small slot-shaped valley in its floor known as the Challenger Deep. Challenger, of course. Who challenged God? It's Satan. So, Challenger Deep. The deepest point of the trench is more than 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles farther from sea level than the peak of Mount Everest, they tell you. In 2009, the Mariana Trench was established as a U.S. national monument. The Mariana Trench is named after the nearby Mariana Islands, which are named Las Marianas in honor of Spanish Queen Mariana of Austria, and you have to believe that too, and I don't do this. I believe that the Spanish Queen Mariana of Austria, which means Österreich, which means then a country here in the middle of Europe, I think that she was been named after Maria, and then, you see, that would make much sense. And this Mariana Trench, where is it then located? Huh? Take a lucky guess.
In the Ring of Fire, yeah.
In the Ring of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
That means if they come up with a volcano eruption, it could also mean a volcano eruption under the ocean. And that had appeared before. The waves which occur then from that giant earthquake are called tsunami, and then maybe that rings a bell. Because Japan is also in the Ring of Fire, and that happened to, at least officially, to the power plant station in Fukushima some years ago. An earthquake. So they can come up with much things because nobody gets there, down there, or anywhere else there. If that is existing, you see, that is all just depending on their science and on their model. But it just makes no difference. The Mariana Trench is located inside the Ring of Fire. Once again, this is the equator, and if you know where the equator is officially, you know where the country of Ecuador is with their so-called tallest mountain. And this is then the tallest deep in the sea, the Mariana Trench. Yeah, located somewhere here. It's in the Ring of Fire, which means high volcanic activities. Telling you that is the ocean of peace. The ocean of peace when it is a Ring of Fire. Hilarious, huh? Like other oceanic trenches, the Mariana Trench has been proposed as a site of nuclear waste disposal in hope that the tectonic plate subduction occurring at the site might eventually push the nuclear waste deep into the Earth mantle. And then you have to believe so many fairy tales. Furthermore, plate subduction zones are associated with very large megathrust earthquakes. And then it might ring a bell with Matthew 24, right? Mm. The deepest zone of the ocean is called the Hadal Zone. It's from 6 to 11 kilometers or 3.7 to 6.8 miles below sea level. There are only just a few of creatures there, and you won't swim that deep, so therefore they can come up with everything. Yeah? So, once again, this is a Ring of Fire that would be equivalent to the wing of a serpent, or let's say the wing of the plumed feather serpent or the dragon. This is also where Mariana Trench is. And you see that from this map, you see all these brown indications on the maps. These are mountain ranges. Yeah. So if there is a volcano or eruption that would occur within the west coast of the United States as well as the west coast of South America. It's all left wing. So they claim that therefore Chimborazo is the highest mountain in Ecuador because of the equatorial bulge. So all this stuff which is happening in South America might have an impact on the Andes, so on the mountain range on the west coast. Because in Ecuador there's also in the mountain range of Chimborazo there's Cotopaxi, among the highest active volcanoes in the world. His ongoing eruption, ongoing means it has never stopped since, began on the 21st of October 2022. That means the volcano started to dance once again as late as 2022. On a clear day, Cotopaxi is clearly visible on the skyline from La Tacunga and Quito, Virgin of Quito. It is part of the chain of volcanoes around the Pacific plate, known as the Pacific Ring of Fire. They have also explained that the Chicxulub crater has been called Chicxulub against the devil, the demon, or horn, and it is 66 million years old and has a diameter of 186.66 kilometers in the north of Mexico. So there are certain other volcanoes and mountains in the side of the Pacific Ocean on the west coast. Volcano dated 66 millions of years and 100 kilometers diameter. Sure, you have to believe it. They tell you there are some islands been formed out of waste in the Pacific Ocean. They can come up with everything. Cotopaxi was in a story of H.G. Wells. No wonder. In the science fiction novel of Shadrach in the Furnace. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Yeah. And also there was a flight in Ecuador, Quito, in August 1976, flight 232. 55 passengers disappeared, and that was been discovered some 30 years later, 27 years. The body was found on the elevation of that mountain Chimborazo by Ecuadorian climbers. While Everest is the Earth's highest elevation, and Mount Mauna Kea is the tallest from its base, Cayambe is the farthest from the Earth axis, and Chimborazo is farthest from the Earth center. Understood? All is relative. There is no absolute. It just depends on your viewpoint and on your foundation. What is the truth in this world? It's all relative. The summit of Chimborazo is the fixed point on Earth that has the utmost distance from the center because of the oblate spheroid shape of the so-called planet Earth, which is thicker at the equator than it from pole to pole. But you have to believe it. And then they come up with the centrifugal force from the Earth's rotation. And you see that then you can stop any research on this page.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
That means that your entire science, which you learn at school, has been manipulated hundreds of years, at least since 1599. Imagine what you are believing and you think you know, but it's just a belief. The Chimborazo represents the father, whereas neighboring to Gungura is seen as mama and Guaja child. You see that they have also their pagan trinity within the mountain range. A condor is a native name for a bird. The condor on top of the shield stretches his wings to symbolize power, greatness, and strength of Ecuador on the flag of Ecuador. The condor also represents the idea that it will always be ready to attack any enemy. The palm leaf on the right side is a symbol for the martyrs of the fight for independence and liberty, and you have to believe it, huh? And the fasces below the shield represents the republican dignity, and then you can also stop to read that article. The fasces. In Ecuador. Poor people. Yeah. They do not represent the republican dignity, they represent fascism. That's what they represent. My. At least they admit that blue is the color for ocean and skies, and yellow the color for crops and fertile soil, and red the color of blood, even at least. According to 2018 survey, Catholics make up 77% of the population of Ecuador. Yeah, this is Ecuador with the globe on top, because Ecuador is much more important in the globe model because there is the equator and there is the bulge. It's, of course. Yeah. This is the Church of the Society of Jesus in Quito, the capital city of Ecuador. And look now what they tell you. Graced by a facade of volcanic stone, the church was completed in the 18th century. They made it of volcanic stone. Interesting. That is something to... Are they admiring the volcanic stone, or are they admiring the Roman god Vulcan, I ask myself. Volcanic stone. Interesting. Jesuit intentions in the city. Yeah. El Panicillo, where the so-called Virgin of Quito has been located. According to Juan de Velasco, a Jesuit historian, there was a temple on top of Javirac where the Indians worshipped the sun. Yeah, and they do that the same all over again. And do not know this maybe, but they all are just worshipping the sun in the Roman Catholic Church. The Catholics as well as the Jesuits, as you might see. The monstrance is nothing else but a sun symbol or sun ray symbol of the Jesuits. Yeah, so all the mess is in Ecuador, even the tallest mountain and one of the most active volcanoes. And even the church has been made of volcanic stone, so congratulations. You know, the word volcano is derived from the name of Volcano, a volcanic island in the Aeolian Islands of Italy, whose name in turn originates from Vulcan. Remark, the theory of a hot core of the earth might have results of volcanoes in ancient times. Yeah, would be my explanation then. A 12-foot tall and 1,200-pound Vulcan statue of California University of Pennsylvania serves as the school mascot. Maybe you have to tell this, Daryl. Yeah, this is the state of your universities, of our universities. You can also exchange Vulcan with Prometheus, yeah, the god of fire. You see, that's quite the same. Yeah, he was stealing fire to bring it to the humans as kind of knowledge. You see, you have also the fire on top of the Osiris obelisk in the Didi Plaza, a trickster figure widespread around the earth, Sumerian methods and all the stuff. But you see, the Vulcan Park in Birmingham, United Kingdom, yeah, it's everywhere. In 2013, the news agency Reuters reported that the name Vulcan was being promoted as a name for newly discovered moons of Pluto. The moons have been discovered in 2011 and 2012, bringing the count of moons of Pluto to 5. Quite fitting. Sherlock says, or that website says, ordinary people fill their heads with all kind of rubbish. But I could remember myself that there was a very, very prominent volcanic eruption 20 years ago or so? Also in Iceland. Interesting. And when it is about volcanic eruptions, they always come up with climate change. So that's the cause then, climate change. As if there were no eruptions in ancient times. Weren't there somewhere in Italy? Where I can remember? In Pompeii? Ask Pink Floyd.
Right.
Yeah. There's a former Formula One race champion, an Austrian guy called Niki Lauda. And Niki Lauda was furious because he's not only a pilot, but he's really a pilot. He's got an own airline, and therefore he criticized because the Europeans, they shut down all the airlines after the eruption of a volcano because of all the dust in the air and the reduced visibility.
Right.
And that was 2010. Now I got it, 2010, so not that long ago. Yeah, from Ireland, once again. This is nearby Great Britain, so to speak. So it's very far in the north of Europe. Yeah, so they had a clouds of ashes because of the eruption of that volcano, and therefore the authorities, they did not permit that any passenger liners to fly. And an example of what a giant volcano outburst could lead to is the British Airways flight 009, not 007, but 009, the so-called Jakarta incident on 1982, a Boeing 747, 747 means 18, registered. The aircraft flew into a cloud of volcanic ash thrown up by the eruption of Mount Galunggung around 110 miles, 11, sure, 180 kilometers southeast of Jakarta, resulting in the failure of all 4 engines. That's the official story, at least. So they had already in 1982, they had some incident, and therefore that would lead to that the entire traffic and much else would be affected by the outburst of a gigantic volcano. The captain, called Mr. Moody, made an announcement to the passengers that has been described as a masterpiece of understanding, quote unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We have a small problem. All 4 engines have stopped. We are doing our damnedest to get them going again. I trust you are not in too much distress. And you have to believe it too. The engineless flight entered the Guinness Book of Records as the longest flight in a non-purpose built aircraft. I think they have survived.
Oh, wow.
It's called an episode Falling from the Sky. All 4 engines have failed. The true and triumphant story of flight BA009 and the Jakarta incident.
Wow.
And somebody says, one day Mother Earth will fart and nobody will talk about CO2. In Italy, they tell you that all 400 years they have one of the 2 major volcano outbursts, so therefore you should not buy any private property. Now it's overdue. It's very interesting if you look up all these major volcanic sites. They are also in Naples, where you know Naples, Crowley connection, and Naples also Secret Service. One of the stations that Ian Fleming went there. The Phlegrean Fields is a volcanic caldera situated at the west of Naples, Italy. It is part of the Campanian volcanic arc. It was regarded in ancient times as the mythological home of the Vulcan, the Roman god of fire. See, it's all about not Star Trek, but it's all about Italian or old pagan goddess. In 1538, an 8-day eruption in the area deposited enough material to create a new hill, Monte Nuovo, or the New Hill. It's 2 meters from ground level since 1970. Wow. Even in Germany, we have maps of volcanic activities, only slight, but nevertheless. There is an interactive map of volcanoes and current volcanic activity alerts in the United States. Once again, this is the Ring of Fire. And this is Alaska, Canada, United States. And this is the range of officially of sea snakes, which would incorporate the left side or the west side of the Ring of Fire. Chinese dragons are flying snake dragons. It's always the same. Oh yeah, you got your flying drake or Draco or dragon serpent. No wonder they call that land Amaru. Yeah, the question which is just troubling me is at the moment, is what you see what you get. So I do not know if this is just an artifact here of Google Earth, if they just want to deceive us deliberately, if they want to worship the serpent into honoring him with an image which is not there. But it is not important in the end, because important in the end is what they interpret out of it and what they want the people to believe, I guess. Yeah? So let's just stick of it. Yeah, as it is. We know there is a deception island, right? So a deception island means an act of misleading, a lie or a falsehood. That's deception. And deception has been deliberately mentioned in Genesis 3:13. Would you care to read this passage?
Sure, Michael, I will. And the Lord God said unto the woman, that thou hast done. What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
Okay, so we know that we have been deceived, and I can't tell you if that image is there correct, but we know that Revelation 12:9 speaks about the great dragon has been cast down onto the earth, and that would be then at least spiritually mean the imprint of the dragon or the sea serpent or of Satan. So, deception. Beguiled means to deceive. Nasha, like Nasha, huh? Nasa, Nasha. They make their tongues as sharp as the serpents, the poison of vipers on their lips.
Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart, continually are gathered together for war. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. Selah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man who have purpose to overthrow my goings.
Then we get back. So, to deceive means to delude or to beguile. And it is in absolute connection here with the serpent. The serpent beguiled me. So the serpent is the deceiver. Okay? To beguile means to delude by artifice. From beguile, that means entertain with pastimes. Beguiled. And in the Jesuits' explanation of their own etymology, it means, Jesuitical means deceitful, designing, insinuating. Yeah, so deceitful, to be deceitful. So the deception and Deception Island would be, which is here, of course, in quite close to the Antarctica, would be one favorite place to be if you are a Jesuit, I guess. And that's where we going to go now. There are other interesting locations around the Antarctica, like the Matienzo Base, an Argentine Antarctic base and scientific research station after Lieutenant Benjamin Matienzo, an Argentine aviation pioneer. And there are other things too. And that now it comes a big problem. If you just want to rely on Google Earth or whatever software you are using, you rely on software. You rely on people who have programmed that software to behave like this or to behave otherwise. There are many, many islands there, like Zawodowski Island. Zawodowski Island, for example, is an uninhabited volcanic island and consists of one major stratovolcano, Mount Curie. So they are even quite nearby the Deception Island or the Antarctica or the South Pole on that regard. There are volcanic activities too. On this Zawodowski Island there is Mount Asphyxia, known as Mount Curie, 1800 feet, 666, South Sandwich Islands. And of course you have to believe it, I wasn't there. But I'm always remembered about the Matthew 24 when it comes down to all these signs of the end times.
Yep, Matthew 24. What's the verse there? 5? Is that
7?
Tiny little 7.
Yeah.
Oh, you have 5, 6, and 7 then listed here. Or no, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines.
Yeah, famines because of shortage of food or just drying up rivers. You see, with climate change, you can do anything with geo-engineering. It is geoengineering.
Right. Sanctioned by the Pope, live in our Congress with everyone applauding. Oh, yeah, bring it on. Yeah.
No, I have
No
to.
problem.
I'm just looking it up at the moment. I got too much. There it is.
Oh yeah, weather as a force multiplier. This paper came out in 1996.
Yes, correct.
That's a long time ago, man.
So I guess they can do much things, and I guess they can also have an imprint on other things. So you see that on the one hand, in the Arabic countries, the Euphrates River, which has even been mentioned in the Bible, continues to dry up, as you believe this. And in Israel, a land founded more or less by the Zionists and by the United Nations, been recognized, then they can produce drinkable water out of seawater, so they are much more better off. And you can imagine that would cause a great conflict if famines would happen, especially there in these regions where there is war and everywhere and anywhere. So the coming food catastrophe, the Economist tells us. So they all prepare for that scenario, I guess. But it just moves on with the verse 7.
Yeah, famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the beginning of sorrows. So that means that where is the United Nations highest risk for earthquake? We talk about it, of course. On the west coast, where all these volcanic activities, ring of fire, mountain ranges are located. And you see that these are just quite recent events here. Heavy storms on the US west coast. Yeah. Monster waves in California. Mm-hmm. So I think they can create all this stuff. Most likely the Ring of Fire and Italy. Yeah, weather as a force multiplier. I do not wonder why the education of American people or American pupils are so poor. Because I think that the United States most likely has been used as kind of a cannon fodder and a military arm of the Roman Catholic Church. So what's the use in educating them? They need the United Nations as a military force. I'm not saying that these people are dumb. I just say that they have been not educated well. You see? It's just a big agenda. And it's not me that I have decided it. I just every time.
Well,
that
they've been Jesuitically educated, Michael. I mean, this is ratio studiorum.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. It's on a grand scale. It's where I live in the education system I went through. I witnessed it personally.
Mm-hmm.
I know it very well. And yeah, I'm not impressed with it either. But you know, what choice do you have, right?
Mm-hmm. By the way, this small red dot is island here, where the volcano was just blocking all the air traffic. Yeah, this is just one minor red dot here, but can you imagine what happens here in Alaska or what happens here? Look at this map in South America.
Man.
Yeah, this is Japan. Yeah,
Man.
Yeah, this is all around the Ring of Fire. You see, this is the west side of the Ring of Fire. This is the east side of the Ring of Fire.
Oh.
Yeah.
Much more active, yes. It looks much more active.
Yeah, and even here now you got a scale of the earthquake impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you see 9.0 and bigger has only appeared 5 times. Yeah, in Alaska, in Chile, in South America, Latin America, somewhere here in, what is it, Indonesia or what else? And this must be Japan, and this could be either Japan or just part of Russia. So these 5 points. And 4 of the 5 points are within the Ring of Fire. This is the only exception here. But if you look up the earthquakes at a scale of 8 to 8.9, you see that bam, 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 South America.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's the scenario what they just been telling you in The View to a Kill. So therefore, I would say that get out of the West Coast and get out of the cities if you can. Move to flat land. You see, they can come up with everything, and we can't research anything. You see that if there are some injections there, you see, you have always two parts, and we know that all the media has been controlled. We just can only speak openly because we are not being visited much often, I guess. So I do not know what is right and what they can do, but I think they can do much more than we imagine, because they have all the time and of course all the money at their hands. So I can't rely on their science, I'm sorry. With the relatively consistent history of our government not being extremely honest with the citizens, how can we know for sure that a project isn't already implemented in some way? Yeah, that's a problem. Won't tell you anybody. You see that when in 1961 your Jesuit president John F. Kennedy came up with quote-unquote, "We propose further cooperative efforts between all nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control." 63 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so that you do not need his dark backside or the dark side of John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson. Yeah, you can also quote John F. Kennedy, and you can guess or you can estimate that he has not written this speech, but this speech has been written for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so awkward. Yeah, when you see that these high-dense area people who are living here on the West Coast, that's the region where the chance of earthquakes is very high. So if you want to bring destruction on a big scale level, then you see you would affect the West Coast of the United States, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's just part of the Ring of Fire. Not speaking, of course, of Washington and New York City with many, many millions, but much infrastructure and much economy has been located on the West Coast, I guess. So, therefore, this is the Ring of Fire. Yeah, you see, the bigger the circle, the bigger the impact. Yeah, Japan, South America, and this is Thailand or where else. Maybe it's also underwater activity, I do not know. But what I know is that I'm glad that I don't live there, because I have seen images, although nowadays you can forge and fake everything. Yeah, even in Iceland, volcanic eruption can happen within few minutes. And then you got a hole, and 3 minutes ago you had a car, and then you have no car, and maybe you're also gone. Nobody knows. And that's also very interesting and telling, I think, because if you then take a look or a closer look at Italy, in Italy, the Mount Etna volcano erupts again. This is 2023 on 9/11. Yeah, you see, I'm collecting information, and when it is used, I can insert it here and there. And that
Is that the 11th of September, Michael?
That's the 9th of November.
Oh, 9th of November. Okay.
Mm. Look at German history.
Mm.
On the 9th of November, 9/11, 1918, they were just promoting the Weimar Republic, so the end of the German Kaiser, the German Caesar, or what is it, Kaiser, Emperor, German Emperor. On the 9th of November, 9/11, 1938, it was the Reichskristallnacht, or the Crystal Night. A program,
1938, right?
yeah, a program against Jews carried out by the Nazi Party, Sturmabteilung, Paramilitary and Schutzstaffel, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. The night of broken glass. Broken glass that littered the street after the windows of Jewish-owned stores, buildings, and synagogues were smashed. Yeah, so that was the night of the crystals, or the night of broken glass. If you really believe in coincidences, on the 9th of November 1980, they were proclaiming the Weimar Republic.
Mm.
On the 9th
Proclaiming the Weimar Republic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of like a coup then, or what would that be?
Yeah, that is the German emperor. He fled to the Netherlands,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Weimar Republic took over.
Mm-hmm.
And on 9th of November 1983, they had the Night of the Broken Glasses, so that all the Jewish windows has been smashed and all the stuff. And on 9th of November 1989, then they had the Berlin Wall was being teared down on the 9th of November 1989. And then Germany was reunited. 9/11, 9/11, 9/11.
Yep.
Don't come up with any coincidences. Yeah, but it's really interesting. 9/11, 2023. Next door to Vesuvius, another Italian volcano is waking up. Mount Vesuvius, next door to Vesuvius, Mount Vesuvius, who was being in charge of destroying Pompeii in 79 AD. So it is now the Etna. The volcano Etna erupts again. Interesting, the Etna. And that is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's located here.
Wow.
In Sicily.
I see. Mm.
And there you got the rock of your metal, man.
Wow. Interesting.
I don't think that Italy's shape is by coincidence like a feet, or they claim it is just a Stiefel. What is a Stiefel? A boot. So you see that Italy is, or Rome actually, is quite easy to identify as the last empire. The feet of the metal man. And this is one of the three possibilities of the rock which will crush. You see, we are talking about a false eschatology.
Mm-hmm.
The papacy could declare that anything, you see, they could even, I think, generate an earthquake, and so therefore part of Italy could be drowning, or what else. You see, this is just a passage here, small passage here between Sicily and Italy. Yeah, this is just maybe, I do not know, 1 or 2 miles. Well, so everything is possible. Everything is possible in this world. Yeah. What I know is, see, the other volcano is quite nearby Rome. It's maybe 100 miles apart from Rome. And this is where officially the home of Vulcan is. And this is also where this monster has been hiding under the Mount of Etna. Well, they can create many, many scenarios. But the problem is that we do not know what is right and what is wrong, so they can come up with everything. I just been providing, and I try to provide some interesting information. I myself was keeping busy on locating 66.6 degrees, so latitude and longitude, and I came up in the middle of the ocean, so in the middle of nowhere, and nothing could be seen. I could not see anything, but then, out of a sudden, I saw something which was not 66.6, but 66 somewhere, but it was blocked, because Google Earth did not allow me to look any further, because out of a sudden, they had some strange artifacts here, like rectangular stripes upon certain surfaces here, or certain landscapes. Yeah, so I could not look any further. Yeah, so if I want to pin a down 66.6666 and all the stuff, and I came in the middle of nowhere, so nothing to be seen there. Yeah, and then you see all these artifacts here. I cannot make it out if it is a problem of the computer program, or there is something else there which they don't want to show you, or there is just nothing there. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. But what they tell you is that the Earth has been flattened on the poles, right? So you do not know where the exact location is. So how will you determine the correct coordinates when you are using a software which has been programmed by your enemy?
Right.
Does not make much sense.
No, it doesn't. That's true. That's true.
Therefore, I concentrate a little bit more on the surrounding islands. Bird Station, Prince Olaf Harbor, Stromness, Gottul, South Georgia, South. This would be the left eye of the dragon. And nothing to see here except water and snow. I looked a little bit further. Yeah, and there you see all these artifacts. So there could be any buildings, maybe, I do not know, army buildings or what else, scientific stuff, telescopes, I do not know. Because Google Earth did not allow me to look further. Strange artifacts. They have some research stations there. And this is what they show you. These are just barracks there, or just some housing there for their so-called scientists. Of course, they will do all the stuff for climate change to make the world a better place, like Michael Jackson so said. Once again, Argentina and Chile. This is Chile, this is Argentina here, this is Tierra del Fuego. Yeah, this is the land of fire. This is the Drake Strait, the Drake Passage, and this is the Drake here. And Argentina is left of the dragon. Yeah, and the left eye would be South Georgia. I can improve it a little bit because I have a hard time reading it for myself. This is South Georgia, would be the left eye, and these are the Villa Las Estrellas. The Village of the Stars would be the right eye. And this is just the regular image on Google Earth. And this is the shape of Italy with at least 2 rocks belonging to Italy. I enhanced it a little bit further, and I had been looking for the Cygni Research Station and the Orcadas base, and it was nothing of big importance that I could see. And I thought, okay, I'll just take a look at these Base Orcadas. Base Orcadas is an Argentine scientific station in Antarctica, the oldest of the stations in Antarctica still in operation. Yeah. Interesting. And I thought, okay, that would be interesting to go to Borge Bay, Cygni Island, to have a little bit more insight, so to speak. So that is what it looks apparently on the inside to the outside. Because they have a virtual reality 360-degree webcam there to please you. Yeah, so you can look everywhere you would like to go. You could move it, or you could look it up from the outside. Yeah, you could.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't swim there. It's quite cold.
Unless you're Rick Pelletier.
Yeah, right.
You'd love it.
Yeah, you love it. Yeah, you can make him a gift or so. Okay, so you see what I see, and you see what you should see. That is just an Antarctic scientific facility. Yeah, so you can even move to the rooms, and you can take a sneak peek into the room. Yeah, so nothing to see here, I can tell you. This is just not much to see here, except a little bit of wood and a little bit of fire extinguisher and all the stuff. Yeah, so it's not what you would expect here. You see that maybe you would have expected a skull and the bones, and maybe you would expected some magic books or 666 symbol. Nothing to see, really nothing to see there. Yeah, so Yeah, this you see the majority amount of research actually is just looking at stuff which is not interesting. Yeah, you see they got a walkie-talkie here or what else. Yeah, so but apart from a bottle of Bacardi and all the stuff, you see that of course there could be codes in it, and only the initiated know what's it all about, and you can look to any book. But I'm sorry, there was not much interesting to see here. Of course, there could be, but I don't have all the time of my life to go into this stuff. So nothing to see here actually. I just wanted to have you the live proof. Yeah, this is just what I did months ago. Yeah. When you are just enjoying outside and having a good time, I'm looking at the Antarctica station, freezing myself spiritually. So this is nothing to see here. Except that they tell you they have to achieve net zero, so net zero outcome or output of CO2, and therefore the Antarctica Research Station does it utmost to just be within that goals. For sustainability manager of the British Antarctica Survey, yeah. So now this is her, yeah, who is just here in charge of just being sure that when she's a little bit more older, then she has built the world a better place. Yeah, Natalie fought at a community tree planting event. Net zero ambition. Yeah, so that would be the next one. Yeah, you have to pay. Yeah, you have to pay to get rid of your CO2 debt or so. I do not know what they will come up with, but towards net zero carbon, British Antarctic Survey. So that's what they are just telling you. They are watching the climate there, and they report and all this. This is so reliable and. Yeah, the climate is changing because anytime I go outside, I'm just being confronted with miserable people these days. So the climate actually is changing. But I think the moral climate and the spiritual climate is always also changing. Okay, so after that I have learned that there are many people busy with net zero on the Antarctica. I went to the other islands and I looked upon it and I said, this is Coronation Island. Yeah, coronation means the crown. Yeah, so that is where they have also a sanctity research station. Mm-hmm. So let's look a little bit here and a little bit there, and I came up with nothing. And I said, there must be something, because I know these guys. Then they have a Visikoi Island and a Candlemas Island. I said, Candlemas. And the Saunders Island, and then it got out of a sudden quite interesting. Montague Island, Bristol Island, Cook Island, Thule Island, Southern Thule. I said, there where they got their inspiration from the National Zionists in the Third Reich. And I knew, because they are naming it Thule Island. And I said, that's quite interesting.
The Thule Society, right?
Yes.
Right.
Thule is the most...
Yes.
And now, look at this. Thule is the most northerly location mentioned in ancient Greek and Roman literature and cartography. But they come up with in the south. In classical and medieval literature, ultimate Thule, which means the farthest Thule, acquired a metaphorical meaning of any distant place located beyond the borders of the known world. So that would be then non plus ultra for the Strait of Gibraltar in Spain. But 1919 there was also a Thule Society, and then it makes sense, because if you name that Thule Island, then many people say that, Hitler is on the Antarctica and they have a secret base with UFOs, and therefore you see that they have named it, or anybody has named it, somebody has named it Thule Island. Thule Society was a German secret society by Rudolf von Bettenburg, which was not his real name, in Munich, Bavaria. Where? Adolf Hitler met with many important Roman Catholics. Yeah. And that guy also has visited Egyptian pyramids like Crowley, and it's all the same. You see, that it's just it's just war, and it's just the black sun symbol here, swastika. Yeah. It's always the same. Using the symbol of a North Star, allegedly, and then come up with the name of an island in the South Pole. Yeah, quite clear, yeah. All these people. All these people, even Rudolf Hess, among these Thule people, who then flew to Scotland to bring peace, if you believe this. Yeah. World War II to create the state Israel and move towards one world empire. Yeah, I could really confirm this. So interesting, you see all these names in the islands, and these are the names of the islands, if you would like to see it so, as the dragons or the sea serpent's teeth. These are the 7 islands. It's Zowodowski, Wisolki, Candlemas, Saunders, Montague, Bristol, and Thule, Cook, and Bellinghausen. So these are 3 actually. Interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you got 10. 10 horns, or what else? Southern Thule. Interesting. Revelation chapter 13 once again. Wisikoi Island, Candlemas Island. I said there must be something to it. Saunders Island, Montague Island, Bristol Island. It looks a little bit artificial here when they present it to you.
Right.
Yeah. And even they are the United States, or who else? I do not know. I have to look it up. America. Yeah. United States have an air base in Thule in the Arctic. I did not know that. So your own military has a military base in the Arctic. In the Arctic, not in the Antarctic. So now we are talking about the Arctic and not the Antarctic. Sometimes it gets really strange. You see that naming an island on the South Pole Thule and then having an airbase Thule in the Arctic in the north. Oh, quite clear. Yeah. So you can imagine that I don't want to spoil any time, but it was so interesting. And I came across this picture, and then it suddenly struck me what I have overlooked. And now this is the solution. I don't know if you see it.
Michael?
Yes.
Right. How in the world is that? It's a volcano?
Yes, it is. Revelation 12. Revelation 12. You see, it was Michael who defeated the dragon, and the dragon is here, and the ring of fire is there. This is the dragon, this is the Drake Strait, and there is the volcano named Mount Michael. Mount Michael is an active volcano with a height of 843 meters. It is located on Saunders Island in the South Sandwich Island, British Overseas Territory in the Atlantic Ocean. It is one of the few volcanoes in an overseas territory of the United Kingdom. The volcano was discovered by a British expedition under James Cook, but presumably first charted in 1820 by a Russian expedition. Yeah. The quest to reach Mount Michael's core. Explorer Lake of Fire, National Geographic. The erupting volcano in the United Kingdom. They claim on that National Geographic documentary around the planet of course, there are approximately 1,300 volcanoes, sure 13, and few people are aware of this, but what I am referring to is the small volcanic island Saunders. Active systems do exist in France, Spain, and Germany. And thousands of years ago, they have erupted. They claim, you see that. Yeah? But this is Saunders here in the middle of the ocean, of the island, Saunders. The Saunders volcano is located in the southern hemisphere, far east of the Falkland Islands, which are here. But it's in the mouth of the dragon, so to speak, or the mouth of the serpent. There's an active volcano of the name of Michael, Mount Michael. I'm not making it up, really. You can look it up for yourself. Saunders is centered in the middle of 7 active volcano island complexes. Erupting since November the 12th of 2014. Contains a surprisingly rare volcanic feature, a persistent lava lake. Can you imagine this? This is a lake of fire. Read the subtext here. Note, no images exist of the lava lake, but scientists are certain it exists. This image of lava is for illustration purposes only. And now you might have a glimpse of an idea why I wanted to do all this stuff, because it just is simply going further and further and further, and it really makes up an interesting hypothesis, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see that a lake of fire, a persistent lava lake, is a lake of fire. And this is Revelation 19:20, when Satan has been defeated. Or the beast was taken and the false prophet. You see that, but it's just actually the same. So these both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. The lake of fire. You see that they come up with anything and they don't take it spiritually. So erupting since 2014 is Saunders Sandwich Island, Mount Michael, 2014, an active lava lake. They claim, they cannot prove it. It has no pictures of it, but they claim. Saunders is the second volcano in this category in the Antarctic, as the other is Mount Erebus. The reason why this volcano exists is the same reason why 7 other adjacent volcanoes exist, is the sandwich plate they are claiming. Yeah, this, you see this friction of these tectonic plates. The sandwich plate on the one hand and the South American plate on the other hand. Which is officially the same reason why the ring of fire exists of these tectonic plates, of this continental drift. But you know that looked from above, you see this is the shape of the serpent. And in the midst of it is just Saunders Island with the Mount Michael, with the lake of fire. Sorry, the lava lake, sure. Yeah? So that is the original explanation. Because of the collision of tectonic plates, you have these movements under the tectonic plates creating effects on the outside, on the surface of the earth, called earthquakes. You see, it was Michael who fought against the dragon, huh?
Mm-hmm. Right. And his angels, yes.
And his angels, yeah. So, you see, Mount Michael.
Mm-hmm.
The erupting volcano in the United Kingdom that nobody knows. So, when or if that volcano will erupt more than usually, the Vatican or whomsoever can claim, yeah, I don't understand the Revelation as a spiritual book. It is just has another meaning, you see. This is just Mount Michael and the Drake Strait. And you see, they can come up with any fancy explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mount Michael. See, who comes up with that? Yeah, to name that Mount Michael on Saunders, you see, in the Drake Strait, in the Tierra del Fuego, in the Fireland, in the Land of Fire, in Amaruca, with the Land of the Plumed Serpent. Come on. You see, how many coincidences would you like to have? How many? If you have to understand that everything is happening in a biblical context. But I can't tell you what is the right outcome, the right theory, and the things to come. I only can point a finger to the things that I have researched.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that hilarious. You see that when there's a dragon and there's a land of fire, Amaruca, the plumed serpent, the lake of fire, the Drake passage, and the Mount Michael, which has an erupting, activating volcano. Come on, you see that. My. They can come up with everything. That is my big point. You see that they can create any illusion. Oh yeah, out of a sudden, emergency, newsfeed, emerging. What is it? Important newsfeed? No, what is it?
Yeah.
Newsflash. Or what else? Newsflash! The Antarctic Scientific Station has recognized a huge, gigantic earthquake because of climate change. They can come up with everything. And you have to believe it. You see, it's much too far away to prove it. And they also can tell you that, oh yeah, all of a sudden a great, gigantic sea whale or sea snake or what else has been depicted there. And then out of a sudden, if that would be spread like Corona in 2020 all over the world, well, oh, the gigantic sea monster, you see that you got a great serpent or what else then. And you see the majority of people would believe it because it is in the television.
Right.
And nowadays, their quality of the illusion, the great light of art, the great art of light and shadow, aus Magna Lucis Adambre, from the Jesuit promoted Athanasius Kircher. You see, the people say the CGI in this movie is amazing. It looks so realistic and so realistic and so realistic. And I think they will come up with a similar thing, combining Mary worship and the defeat of the dragon or the serpent. Something like this. I can only imagine that they will play out this card because it has almost be perfected, that people really think that is a real gigantic ape here. Yeah, who is now here struggling together with a creature who looks a little bit like a dragon.
Right.
Yeah. And even in House of the Dragon or some other tales, and even in Harry Potter, you see, they come up with the dragon here, which has his, and don't laugh now, his own bank. So this is not only a reference to the City of London Corporation, but also to Luke 4 and Matthew 4, all the kingdoms of this earth. You see that all material possessions belong to Satan, and whomsoever worships him will get his reward and his salary.
Mm-hmm.
This is the literal explanation of Luke 4. I think, in my humble opinion. This is Luke 4. The kingdoms of the world.
Yeah.
So now look what they are doing here in Harry Potter, Gringotts Dragon, Harry Potter, Warner Brothers, Freemason Studio Tour in London. People said, I went there today and it looked surreal, and I have to admit it was quite scary. Because they have most likely a three-dimensional illusion of a dragon just spitting fire directly in your face. And they will do that with flamethrowers and creating heat and dust and smoke and visualizing anything. Can you imagine? And now can you imagine that out of a sudden the great plumed serpent will come back to Latin America, and hundreds and millions of people in South America will see, that's the same that my old grandfather told me. And the Chinese people will see, we always have to say that the dragon was the creator of all the things. And so it goes around this so-called globe. Of course, until the news been spread into Ecuador, it needs a little bit more time because of the bulge of the equator.
Well, Michael, you had made a comment there a minute ago about the bank and the King Kong and all this stuff, and it's just this is entertainment, or is it containment?
Yeah, but remember that the dragon always in its mythology, and you know where mythology comes from, or myth.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it in a video today that you posted of the seventh vial.
Yeah.
You see, the dragon always is infamous for protecting a treasure.
Yes. Right.
And when they now are coming up with all these dragons in Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all the stuff to educate the people, or entertain, as you rightfully said, entertain the people, I would not be surprised if they do it on a global scale, on all the media. Yeah, we have discovered the gigantic dragon.
Wait, hasn't this is the theme? This has been the theme for hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, look at all of the what do you call this now? The what do they call these? heraldic instruments they use.
Gargoyles and all the stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and they use it on the emblems. What do they call those again now?
Coat of arms.
Coat of arms. Thank you.
If you need any word, call me anytime. Yeah?
Yes, coat of arms. I mean, slaying the serpent. Isn't that what the king is supposed to do? He slays the serpent for the people and rescues the people. I mean, this is ancient.
Yeah, this is ancient, but you see that would be the religion of the majority of people. They think that the serpent will.
So it's the same today as it always was, right?
Yeah, but it is perfected today. You see, that's the point. It's perfected now with the television and Ars Magna Lucis
The illusion.
The illusion is perfected. Yes.
Yes. And that results in what can we say? It's like a trance or mesmerize the audience. You're mesmerizing the audience. You're entrancing them. They don't even know. They don't get it.
They get it the way that the powers to be want it to appear.
That's true.
So that means that everybody now has a smartphone. Everybody now has a big monitor or a television screen. Everybody is connected. They don't
get it. That they're the object of being deceived.
No, they won't get it. At least not the majority of people. They won't get it. They would think that this is science. A professor so and so, and the university,
Sadly.
And there is a study of the university of the UCLA or what else.
And they don't see the devil in the details.
No, quite literally not.
This is a long story, a very, very long historic event.
What you only need is a combination of certain elements to create a certain effect, like in the case of China and a certain laboratory, so that the entire world, or the majority of world will believe it, and the people who don't believe it will not say anything, because then they would just be against the majority of people, and they will like to avoid it. So therefore, they only have to explode a certain underwater device. Let's put it this way. So out of the ocean comes a big wave, and you have like a tsunami. Maybe that was also a try. What they did in Japan, don't know. It's also not important. So that to create a giant wave, and out of the wave, they can tell you there will arise a big great beast. And it's just been the proof for dinosaurs have lived on our Earth, and the proof of evolution theory on that regard. And then that dragon-like giant sea serpent or what else, they must fight this. And of course, that would be most likely, I guess, in Latin America. Lucy, this is just an hypothesis, so I don't know what kind of scenario they will come up with. But you see that the combination of earthquake and dragons is more likely that they can create anything with their climate change and anything with their weather control and weather manipulation, geoengineering, that it will appear that if there are some maybe prehistoric element or creature, then they can spread it around the globe in real time, and they have the proof of all their sciences, because we own the science when it comes down to climate change. Said the WEF, the World Economic Forum. Somebody, I have not looked it up, but lately I have implemented there.
We partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change, you will, at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources. We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. We own the science, and we think that the world, should know it, and the platforms themselves also do. But again, it's a huge challenge that I think all sectors of society need to be very active in.
And then you only need a second element, and that would be a Mary apparition. Because Mary, according to the Roman legend, which you saw at the statue of the Virgin Mary in Quito, can tame the dragon. So Mary brings peace, the Pacific Ocean. Mary brings then peace and can tame the dragon. I was just referring to the Virgin of Quito. So if they just would like to depict, and it, in my humble opinion, it can only gain worldwide recognition when it is about a female goddess, Virgin of Quito. And she's depicted here as the peace bringer because she has literally tamed the dragon with the, I do not know if it will come up now. It's just, of course, it's not the right picture. It's not that easy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with the chain, yeah.
With the chain, yeah, with the chain.
Right, with the chain, yes.
Yeah, so my research actually started in Antarctica, and afterwards I then have found the Virgin Mary of Quito with the dragon or the serpent. And I said, okay, the serpent is on the sea, on the Pacific Ocean. And then you see that out of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. At least you got a interesting hypothesis. You see?
Oh, that's what you mean. So it's a way of depicting the nature of it.
We will see that in a certain script which has much to do with women. You see that I think the papacy will be gone in a certain amount of years.
I know you've been saying that for a long time. It's
they can pull the strings, but I see that on the outside it's all about. It has to be about Mary because that's the only time when the Pope says he's infallible, and this is now dogma of the Roman Catholic Church as Mary is in heaven, and therefore all these Mary apparitions are just. Yeah, you see that because she's in heaven, and. I think that's Mary here depicted as the woman who brings peace because she can tame all the evil in the world. And that's also the reason why the Pope Francis went to Ukraine and then it was just consecrating Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. My humble opinion about it. So we will see what will turn out. I am not a prophet. I just research things and then I see the common ground in it, and the common ground is Mary worship and the taming of the dragon, and the dragon has been seen as wise as and they will claim that even Jesus said be wise as serpents. You see that they will always interpret the Bible in another matter. You see,
right.
when you depict a three-dimensional dragon with background projection, with light games, with smog and all the stuff, people said here, I loved this. I generally thought it was real and that the dragon would come out of the screen after it made direct eye contact. If you got then the approval of the government and the approval of science, the majority of people would believe it. If the lie will be repeated 1,000 times, and we had that, numerous examples of that in the past decades, the majority of people will believe it. That Mary appeared out of heaven, that Mary could slay the dragon, that Mary is the woman of revelation, that it's all about Mary, because without Mary, there would be no Jesus. I went to that museum in July, and honest me, a 17-year-old girl burst out in tears. I was terrified. So they are perfecting the great art of light and shadow. Or let's say in other terms, the image of the beast. You see, when the deception is everywhere, you see that it's hard to guess what they will play out. But we will find methods to look a little bit behind the curtain. But I'm not willing to spend my entire time on all the stuff. Instead, I would prefer to read the Bible and to be a little bit of good cheer instead of looking all through their deception. Because in the end, it's not me or it's not Brett, but it's the Holy Spirit which will lead you in all the truth.
Amen.
Yeah. So you see that all the time, these Jesuitical scientists, yeah, they are just coming out with any forgery. Yeah, here Tyler de Chardin with his famous or infamous Piltdown man. Yeah, so the missing link between evolution theory, ape and human and all the stuff. You see that they are just trying to fool everybody. This is, you can go in Tyler de Chardin, you can go in Georges Lemaitre, you can go in Albert Einstein. You see, it doesn't matter. This is just old fairy tales. Yeah, you see that in Ecuador, they have an astronomically observatory of Quito. Yeah, they have Lemaitre conferences. They have a Vatican observatory. What do? They submit that since 400 years they own the science.
Right.
It's all been owned by American Jesuits. Another American Jesuit. The church
no wonder they have a newspaper, not a newspaper, a magazine called America, huh?
Yeah.
The Jesuit mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder.
The Vatican Observatory tells on their website the church has a long-standing interest in astronomy due to the astronomical basis of the calendar by which holy days and Easter are determined. So it's not determined about the real date of the birth of Jesus Christ and the real date of the death of Jesus Christ, but of the astronomical basis of a calendar.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They are admitting you that they are not based upon the Bible, but instead of an astronomical basis of the calendar.
So it's a sun-centered system.
Yeah, which
has nothing to do with Christ.
Which is then the head of a pagan religion called the sun system or the solar system. Sure.
I wonder they have a monstrance, huh?
You told me. You were the one who told me that science is the religion of the elite.
Yeah.
See? But science is the religion which has been used to deceive the elite.
Well, yeah, but the elite, they have to go against the Lord and his anointed in Psalm chapter 2.
Yeah.
It's just their role. That's what they play. If you want to be the elite, then you're going to have to,
It does not depend what you believe. Yeah, they will create any variance, any kind of belief, as long as you don't believe in Jesus Christ as being the only begotten Son of God, and he left the Holy Spirit as a comforter to lead you in all the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You got millions of possibilities to believe in.
Yes.
He looks through a telescope at the moon to the Apollo 11 moon landing site. Yeah, will show me that telescope who's capable of doing this. You see that they are just everywhere. Everywhere is misinformation.
Yeah, I think they're just pulling our legs.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
and the one
they're laughing at us.
Yes, and few people are just able to just recognize it as it is. One of them is called Appleacher84, and he said, "Did Neil wave back to him?"
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
man.
If they can fool the majority of people with their moon landing hawks ritual, they will do it again.
Yes, they are doing it again, Michael.
Yes.
They are, for sure.
Can you imagine? You see that the Pope is the self-crowned head of more than 1 billion of people. And he recognized the moon landing as authentic. What does that tell you about that church and its leader? It's a serpent, you see, it's serpent worship, it's deception.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about deception. Yeah,
it's all about deception. The Catholic magazine for Southern Africa is called the Southern Cross. depicting mountains and a sun. Yeah, midnight been praised here, sure. Yeah. This is an overview here of telescopes of the Earth. Yeah, United States, Mexico, South America, and Quito is not mentioned here. Interesting. Global Telescope Network. They own the science. They own the science. They own the science. Let me tell you, they own the science, and they will do everything. Everything. To control people and only to let the information pass that suits them or their agenda. I have found very few informations about Ring of Fire and all the stuff. I needed months of evaluation to sum things up, and even now this of course will never end. But you don't find that much information about it. Nobody talks about it almost. So therefore I think that is much more interesting to go into the things that the majority do not know about, and then to draw your own conclusion, or you start your own research upon this. Yeah. Because you can only facepalm what kind of information you get nowadays. It is not necessarily the truth, but the sheer amount of so-called information is just BS or just entertainment. And of course, they will do everything, you see, that just to fulfill the Bible. So we will have persecution. They will try to kill us because we are just standing in the way of their agenda.
Be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Yeah. United Nations.
So
united against Christ. That's what it means.
Absolutely. And they will come
united in the spirit of Antichrist. That's what it means.
And they will come up with their explanation that actually Mary is much more important for salvation because she is the mother of God. Yeah? You see? Can really see that I think they will come up with this, and I got arguments to back up at least my point, so that you're free to believe whatever you like. But I believe in the Bible, and I believe that they will be successful as long as they're stuck to the Bible or the fulfillment of the Bible. And you see that after the tribulation the sun shall be darkened, and therefore they want to play God, and therefore you see that people who think that they are demigods, they come up with these ideas based upon the Bible, I guess. Solar geoengineering, tech billionaire Bill Gates say techniques intended to block a portion out of the solar radiation reaching the planet ought to be considered to create a global cooling effect. Yeah, so they try to play God, actually. But that means, on the other hand, that somebody admits at least that they try to be capable to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is much more interesting than it appears on the outside, I guess. In an open letter, the 16 initiators of the Solar Geoengineering Non-Use Agreement, all scholars in their own right, argue that there are three main grounds for preventing the use of such technologies. First, they point to the unknown risk deploying solar geoengineering tech could backfire potentially catastrophically. The risks of solar geoengineering are poorly understood and can never be fully known, the scholars say. Impacts will vary across regions, and there are uncertainties about the effects on weather patterns, agriculture, and the provision of basic needs of food and water. But I guess that the thing that they don't get is that it's just all of this. Weather patterns means earthquakes. Agriculture means famines. And the provision of basic needs for food and water, which could result in pestilences. That is the fulfillment of Matthew 24. At least could be one of them. United Nations to discuss solar geoengineering at the United Nations General Assembly in 2023. They will come up with everything.
Well, you know, it's really simple when you boil it all down. It's just kill them all and let God sort them out. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's no different. It's no different than you know, it's just like what we were talking about years ago. Yeah. It's the establishment of the old world order. That's all it is. You have the right to die. Your freedom. There's your freedom. Freedom of death. How about that, huh? Not very nice. Not very nice. That's what they're saying with their laws. I mean, they're speaking like a dragon right now. Everywhere you go, everywhere you listen. Yeah, so Michael, I just put out that video, and I was having fun with that, reading from James Aiken Wiley's book, The Seventh Vial, on the interpretation of two horns like a lamb and speaks like a dragon. Ecclesiastical hierarchy of the Roman Church. That's what the beast is. So, yeah, I think the end result is big, big, big trouble, and there's little anyone can do but endure. That's all we have to do.
Yes.
He
shall wear out the saints of the Most High. But that's just our task. Yeah, but you see, the majority of people will fall for it, because otherwise, if they don't believe it and they don't subjugate, they are not lie down and they not receive the mark of the beast, they would starve to death. So therefore, I think that will be forced upon the people. So that was my hypothesis so far, and in the next sessions, and there will be some 4, 5, 6 sessions to come, I will then go on into some methods to decide why and when something would happen on that regard. If my hypothesis will be right, I think it will have much to do with Mary worship. On the other hand, I don't care if it is right. It is at least one workable hypothesis that you see how the deception is going on for decades and even centuries with all these names and Latin America and all the stuff. But I can really imagine myself that they will come up with something on a big scale, and the majority of people will fall for it. And the reasons why and when will be dealt with in future sessions. So thank you so much for having me, and handing it over to my beloved brother in Christ, Brett.
Oh, thank you, Michael, for all the time and energy you put into this. Obviously, you put a lot into this. And yeah, I think you're not alone, actually. There are others like Daryl Eberhard who's mentioned the same thing, right? And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how you're gonna get this put together, because yeah, it's not that obvious, actually, is it? It's kind of buried in a lot of things. It's not something that is obvious. But anyway, we'll hope to see you then in the future sessions we do on the topic of science is the new religion. And bye-bye.